Welcome to your favourite day of the week, everyone, where today we'll be travelling to the land of pizza to explore one of the deadliest volcano eruptions in European history that changed Roman lives forever. So previously, we were partying it up in Scandinavia, learning what food the Vikings ate to survive harsh winters and long sea voyages. This time, we'll travel south across Europe to a destination just outside of modern-day Naples to discover how a volcano sent the ancient Roman city of Pompeii all the way back to the Shadow Realm. So before we begin our magical story, if you haven't yet, please do smash that like button harder than Caesar smashed the ghouls. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a lot and I really do appreciate it. Anyway, on to our magical story. Situated in the Bay of Naples in the Campania region of Italy, the city of Pompeii had a population of around 15,000 people, including merchants, manufacturers and farmers who exploited the rich soil of the region with vineyards and orchards. The fertile earth surrounding Pompeii was a result of many previous eruptions of Vesuvius, and the area was renowned to be an upper-class area where many rich people visited on holiday. However, their life as they know it would soon come to an end. The day had started like any other in Pompeii. Shops were open, markets were busy, and the citizens were gathering in the Forum to discuss politics and business. 17 years prior, an earthquake of what is believed to be between magnitude 5 and 6 on the Richter scale had rocked the city. However, this was no cause for concern for the citizens of Pompeii, as earth tremors were extremely common. The only eyewitness to leave behind a surviving written document of the events, Pliny the Younger, wrote that earth tremors were not particularly alarming because they are frequent in Campania. The Romans knew that Vesuvius was a volcano, but they are completely ignorant to its destructive power, and also they fatally believed it was extinct. For 4 days before the eruption, the surrounding area had felt small earthquakes, which were increasing in frequency as the days went on, but as previously mentioned, no cause for alarm. The pressure exerted by the molten rock under the volcano was increasing to such a point where it had nowhere to go but up. On the 24th of August, 79 AD, at around 1 PM, Vesuvius awoke. An enormous dark cloud of volcanic pumice, hot gases and ash was propelled 10 kilometers high into the atmosphere, spreading across the skyline as if ink had been spilled on paper. The blue skies were no longer visible, and roughly every second, 1.5 million tons of volcanic debris was shot up into the sky. Pliny described its general appearance as like an umbrella pine tree, for it rose to a great height on a sort of trunk and then split off into branches. That day, Mount Vesuvius released over 100,000 times the thermal energy of the 2 bombs dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima during World War II. People fled towards the sea and others towards the countryside. Some people even took shelter in their own home in a hopeless attempt to ride out the storm. It didn't take long for the cloud of death to travel the 5-mile distance between the volcano and Pompeii. The city was soon enveloped in darkness as hot ash, pumice and molten rock began to fall from the sky. The flat roofs of the houses and buildings began to collapse under the weight of the volcanic debris, crushing the poor souls who took shelter within them. Rocks falling from the sky claimed others, as gradually the city became buried under ash and debris to a depth of almost 10 meters. The wealthy seaside town of Herculaneum, which was located 3 miles closer to Vesuvius than Pompeii, managed to avoid debris from the first eruption due to a large prevailing southeasterly wind. Seeing the events and horrors of Pompeii unfold in front of them was enough to convince a large majority of town to flee. They were the wise ones, as Vesuvius was far from done. 12 hours after Vesuvius had roared into life, at roughly 1 AM, the eruption moved into its second, far more lethal stage. The column of ash and debris from the volcano, now approaching 20 miles high, began to weaken under its own weight. In the early hours of August the 25th, the column collapsed as the gases densified and could no longer support their solid contents. The cloud raced down the volcano in what would be the first of 6 pyroclastic flows that would happen that day. Racing towards Herculaneum at 100 miles per hour, those unfortunate to be caught up in the surge would have died instantly of heat exposure, as within the cloud it was roughly 250 degrees Celsius, or 482 degrees Fahrenheit for you Americans. Historians believe Herculaneum was mostly abandoned by this time due to the low number of skeletal remains found. However, in the 1980s, up to 400 well-preserved skeletons were discovered, showing not everyone had decided to leave. As the sun rose on the second day, the ashfall started to ease, and the citizens still alive in Pompeii thought the worst of it was over. People who had previously fled returned to their homes to gather their possessions, or what was left of them. The calm was short-lived, however, as around 7:30 AM, Mount Vesuvius unleashed its fourth pyroclastic flow. It crashed into Pompeii at 200 miles an hour, with temperatures now exceeding 300 degrees Celsius, or 572 Fahrenheit again for you Americans. It was certain death in a fraction of a second for any living thing still residing in Pompeii, and the people who had fled to the countryside were no longer safe, as the surges pushed on towards the surrounding areas. A fifth surge buried Pompeii for good. Much of what we know about the eruption comes from an account by Pliny the Younger, who was staying west along the Bay of Naples, some 18 miles from the volcano, when Vesuvius exploded. On the other side, a black and dreadful cloud, broken with rapid zigzag flashes, revealed behind it variously shaped masses of flame. These last were like sheet lightning, but much larger. Soon afterwards, the cloud began to descend and cover the sea. You could hear the shrieks of women and wailing of infants and the shouting of men. People bewailed their own fate or that of their relatives, and there were some who prayed for death in the terror of dying. Many besought the aid of the gods, but still more imagined there were no gods left, and that the universe was plunged into eternal darkness forevermore. I admit that I derived some poor consolation in my mortal lot from the belief that the whole world was dying with me, and I with it. By the end of the second day, the sun managed to peek through the clouds of ash and debris, lifting the souls of any survivors left. Mount Vesuvius was finally at rest again. Although the exact numbers cannot be known, the estimates for the death toll are around 13,000 to 16,000 people, making it one of the most lethal volcanic eruptions in history. Herculaneum and Pompeii were never rebuilt again. They lay buried under ash, dust and rock, forever preserved in underground time capsules. In the immediate aftermath, Roman looters dug into Pompeii to steal whatever valuables they could. In the centuries that followed, the knowledge of where Herculaneum and Pompeii once lay became lost. They would remain forgotten until their accidental rediscoveries in the 18th century. During 19th century excavations, Italian archaeologist Giuseppe Ferrelli realised that the voids he was discovering in the layers of ash at Pompeii were spaces left behind by decomposed human bodies. He invented the technique of injecting plaster into them to bring to life in vivid detail the people of Pompeii in their final desperate moments. Today, Mount Vesuvius is the only active volcano left in the European mainland, and its last eruption was in 1944, with its last major eruption being in 1631. And there ends our magical story of the Mount Vesuvius eruption that destroyed the city of Pompeii. If you haven't yet, please do like the video, and if you haven't yet, please do subscribe, I really do appreciate it. I've been Jamie's Day, your favourite day of the week, and this was the Mount Vesuvius eruption that destroyed Pompeii and Herculaneum, but that title is too long so I won't use it. I'll see you all next time. Peace. Today we'll be travelling to the land of pizza to find out something that I can't remember what we're finding out. Excellent, excellent. Situated in the Bay of Naples in the Campania region of Italy, the city of Pompeii had a